The trouble with love is that it's too big. Not in the sense that there's too much of it, of course, but rather in the sense that the concept is too large to tackle without attaching anchors to it from all sides to bring it down to earth in some tangible form. Love takes too many shapes, it has too many meanings and too many angles, some soft and smooth, others jagged and sharp. So why bother trying to think about something so grandiose when there are more grounded, realistic matters to tackle? Why frit about with the meaning and pursuit of love when we could saturate ourselves in its more manageable counterparts? It's that kind of thinking that gets a man in trouble. A man who thinks he doesn't need love, romance, or vulnerability can get mixed up in the wrong kind of life. He can find himself chasing down love's sexier and more shallow cousin, lust. That's a chase that he can find himself making with wind whipping through his hair as his head leans from the window of a pickup truck so he can see around the broken windshield with a bottle of wild turkey in the passenger seat. He normally doesn't drink alcohol, but he needs that strong hit to wash the taste of lust from his lips. Not because it tastes unpleasant, of course, but because it tastes too damn scintillating. He knows it tastes better than it ever should, but by the time he's drowned the potent flavor from his lips, that truck of his goes plunging off the pier of rationality into the cold black waters of certain disappointment. Well, what makes love so much better than that anyway? He could argue that, well, love at least offers some uncertainty to its disappointment. The odds aren't fantastically greater, and when disappointment does come from love, it stings harder for longer, and most people who are lucky enough to find that everlasting love had to scream along a brutal roller coaster of broken hearts to arrive there. Even then, one of those two lovers is probably going to succumb to mortality before the other, so what's the point? Why go through the trouble, the struggle, the pain? The answer's simple, you doddering fool. You have it all wrong. You've twisted and confused the entire principle of the matter. You're looking at it backwards. That's why you can't understand it. No form of love is really about the affection you hold for a person, a hobby, a pet, or a material possession. Love isn't so fragile as to be broken by the shattered bond of two people or things. You'll love something or someone when the act of doing so itself is your greatest pleasure, rather than the act of possessing that to which you connect. A man doesn't love his daughter just because she's alive and near him to hug and smile for him. If he really loves her, then he feels that unconditional connection no matter where she goes and what happens to her or what choices she makes. If he doesn't feel the same emotion about his daughter, his son, his dog, his wife, his hobby, or his best friend as he finds himself sinking to the bottom of the ocean counting his every last breath, then he never truly loved them to begin with. If his alleged love for a woman ends when she slams the door behind her for the final time, it wasn't love that bound them. Something strong and similar, perhaps, but not quite love. The genuine emotion is so coveted that many people use its name to describe more achievable things like desire, lust, and happiness. This, of course, dilutes the word love, but it's impossible to cheapen the power behind it. The love worth sharing, worth opening oneself to being truly vulnerable, is that which provides consistent reward in spite of itself. It is not tied to bonds so frail as success, possession, attraction, or physical gratification, and to seek it through those means is a fool's errand. That is why loss hurts so much for so long when it happens to the ones we love, because our passionate connection to those we truly love beats on well beyond their means to reciprocate. The standard for an emotion so powerful as to drive out the very darkness of the world or a tormented soul is far greater than the mere derision of pleasure. True love endures beyond the physical presence of its recipients, and it's not enough for it to just feel good. It also has to feel right. In every sense of the word, deeper than the pleasure you derive from the presence of a person or the participation in an act, love feels unequivocally right. And that is why it's worth the chase.